Hi everyone, it's Miss Kristy from East Pennsboro Library, and I am here with another virtual craft to share with you today. You'll have to pardon me if I may have to stop and cough. I've been a little under the weather. Today we're going to look at how to make a way out weaving like this that you could use for a gift for someone or just to hang on your own wall. It's a nice project. Like I said, use it for a gift. I was thinking about trying something for Valentine's Day for a few people. It takes a little bit of time to make it, and you need a lot of patience. So let's take a look at what we are going to be doing. And here we go. We've got our way out weaving and what it will look like when we're done. And let's look at the materials that we're going to need to do this project. A cardboard piece cut to 8.5 by 11. I use one of my neighbor's old Huggy boxes. And you can use a smaller or a larger size for the loom because the cardboard box will form the loom. It depends what size weaving you want to make. Excuse me. You also need yarn, twine, scissors, tape, a ruler, glue or a glue gun for when you finish it up, and a sticker rod that's 2 inches longer than the width of your weaving. I used a stick that I had found outside. About 10.5 inches if you're using the 8.5 by 11. This was made on an 8.5 by 11 loom, but it doesn't look like it's 8.5 by 11, and you'll see why after I explain to you how to do it. And I recommend a safety pin because it makes it easier to weave the project, and you're going to need some patience. I'm going to run through the instructions with you quickly, and then we'll go ahead and I'll start to get you started on what this is going to look like and how to do the project. The first thing you're going to do is measure and cut an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of cardboard. It has to be heavier than regular paper. This is going to be your loom, and it has to be sturdy. Measure 3/4 inch from the top and draw a line across the loom. I am using a smaller size loom to demonstrate the project today, just to make things move along a little quicker. But you can use any size you want. I recommend the 8.5 by 11 the first time you do it because you might want to tweak the project for what you need. So you'll measure that 3/4 inch line down, and then you're going to do it from the bottom too. And I did not do my bottom line yet, so I can show you how to do that. And then using that line as a guide, you're going to measure and mark 3/4 inch increments on the width of the loom. And if you can see, I had started to do that right here on the top. And you're going to repeat it at the bottom of the loom. Then you're going to use the twine to tape the end of the back of the loom. And I'm going to stop there and take you through the first couple steps, and then we'll go back and we'll look at that. So that first step was to measure and cut the paper. I did show you that I'm using a smaller piece of cardboard today for our demonstration. All right, so I measured 3/4 inch down, and now I have to measure 3/4 inch from the bottom, which is very easy to do. I'm just gonna put this down here so you can see what I'm doing. Here's the bottom of my loom this time. I'm not going to go straight up. I'm going to go across. And I'm just going to get this here so that I can measure 3/4 inch from the bottom to draw my line. Go across the whole thing so I can get it straight. I don't want to mess up too much here, or we'll have a lopsided loom. Okay, so now I can take and draw my line straight across the bottom, using those lines as my guide. Now I've got my 3/4 inch line across the bottom, and I've got my 3/4 inch line across the top. Now what I need to do is measure out those increments of 3/4 inches each. So we'll start like this. Let me make sure I got my ruler at the right spot, and I'll just do 3/4 and 3/4 and 3/4. Now I'm going to stop there for 1 second, and I'm going to show you something. So I've got 3/4 here and 3/4 here. When I do this, these are going to line up, and I'm going to draw a line straight down like that. And I'm going to do that for each of my 3/4 increments. And it might not measure perfect, but you know what? That's okay. All right, so we've got our 3/4 inch increments marked. And what I did was I drew a line the whole way down between each one, because it makes it easier for me when I'm ready to make the loom. The next thing that we're going to do is take a pair of scissors, and we're going to cut just in to the 3/4 inch from the bottom line like this on each side. You can't see what I'm doing. I'm cutting right on the line, but I'm stopping at that stop point. Real easy to do. Just make sure you have a good sharp pair of scissors. Then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Cut it right into the line like this until I have all of them cut. And then I'm going to start to use the twine to make my loom. Okay, so now I've got these all cut. You can see they kind of bend, but you don't really want to do that. The next step is to turn it onto the back. Using your left side, right? Our left hand makes the L. You're going to tape a piece of twine, and I like to use the whole thing of twine because I never know how much I'm going to really need. You're going to just tape that to the back of the loom. Scotch tape sometimes is okay, but I like to use tape that's just a little more sticky to make sure that it really holds in place. Because one of the most important things is that your loom is tight. So all I did was tape that to the back. Now, I'm going to try to get an angle here so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to bring this across the top and put it through that first slit. And I'm going to pull it down here to the bottom, through the bottom slit. Then I'm going to go around this one and bring this twine back up through the slit up here. Go around the back, through the next slit that I cut. Sometimes you have to move them apart. Bring it all the way down, over, pull it back up, and you're just going to continue to do this until you come to the end of your cardboard. You're just going to go down the line, through the slit, around, and back up through. Back up the line, through the slit, through the back, down and back up through. When you get to the end of your final row, then you're just going to take that and tape it on the back again, the end piece like this. And now you've got your loom for your weaving. So the next important part is to figure out what kind of string you're going to use and how you want to start this. One thing that I found while I was making this project is that it was really hard on these old lady fingers. So some of you young folks probably won't have the same problem. I did end up having to kind of use something to help me to get that yarn through. Let me show you what I did. I measured, because the next part is to start to make this weaving happen. So what I did was I took my yarn and I took my ruler, because I don't want too much yarn. Too hard to weave too much at one time. And I went 1, 2, 3. And then that's where I cut my yarn the first time I did it, so that I'd know how long it would take me to get it through. Now, that being said, I'm going to suggest that you take a safety pin and you use it as your needle, sort of, and you just tie it into just a real loose little knot there to help you out. Now you've almost got a needle on your yarn. It's really important when you do this that you stop at the right places and start at the right places. So I've got my loom, and I'm going to start up here in the upper left-hand corner. Remember, L, left hand. I do that all the time, even as an adult. And I'm going to start to go under here. And what I like to do is I like to pull my string when I'm done with the row. So I went under there. Let's see if I can get you a good look at what I'm doing. I'm going to go over the next one, and under, and over, and under. Sometimes you got to maneuver it a little bit, and over, and under, and over, and under. Now I'm at the end of the first line. Watch carefully what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this the whole way through, and I'm going to pull it all the way up to the top, but I'm going to leave a little bit of string here. And you're going to, when you're done with this, you're going to have strings hanging out all over the place, but that's okay. You can cut them off and nothing will happen as long as you don't pull too hard. Now I'm going to wrap around, and because I just came under, I'm going to go over, and then I'm going to go under this one, and over, and under, and over, and under. This is why I told you need some patience. I'm going to pull this up a little bit so you can see what we're starting to get here. And now I'm going to go over, and under, and over. And now I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to flip, and I'm going to go under, over, under, over, under, over. I think I say it in my sleep. Under, over, under, over. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing. If you notice, this kind of pulled a little bit. Your ends are going to pull in like that. You have to be sure to not pull too tightly as you're weaving, but you can straighten it out if you need to. Because when you pull too tightly, tighten that string up a little bit. When you pull too tightly, it starts to kind of collapse and cave in, but you can always fix that. So now I'm going to probably go one more, and then I'm going to stop, and I'm going to get a new piece of string. I go over, under, over, under, under, over, whoops, over, under, over, under, over, and I'm going to pull this one out, and I'm going to stop. And I'm going to let that one just kind of hang there. I'm going to cut that off of my needle. And I'm going to start a new piece of string. When I start the new piece of string, I'm going to start it where I stopped. going under over. Let me show you. Let me measure out another piece of string here. 1, oops, 2, 3. All right, we'll cut that off. Tie this off here. So hard when you have old fingers. All right. And I'm going to start where I left off. These strings hanging, they'll take care of themselves in the long run. So I finished with over, so I'm going to start with under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. You can't see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. Under, and I'm going to pull this through until I have an end there. You can start to see the weaving coming together. Now I'm going to go under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Pull that through. And I might need to pull this string over a little bit and loosen it up. You have to adjust it as you go. That's the patience part. Continuing to manipulate the yarn and the loom so that it works for you. And if you don't get it right the first time, don't worry, because I had some trouble with it too. So now I'm going to go under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, and pull that. And you see these here, you can, when you're done, you can either leave on, or as you can see from mine, I trimmed some of them off. I need to trim them up a little bit more if I was going to use this for a gift, but it gives it kind of a bohemian, whatever that means, sort of look. And I'm going to run this through one more time. Under and over. And normally I would continue this until I was all the way down to here. And you're going to use a lot of string, and it's going to take patience, and you're going to really need to try to manipulate things around. I'm going to pretend, like we do in the real world, that this one's finished, just so that I can show you how you're going to take it off the loom once your entire thing is done, because you can finish up the rest of that now that you know what to do. When you're ready to take your weaving off, all you need to do is pull this up on the back and pull each of these up and off. Now this one's going to probably fall apart because it's just my example, but I want to show you how to get this off of here. So I'm going to pull these up off the back like this, or you could even cut them, but cutting them I found makes that I can't have a stick through them. All right, so I did that. Now if I pull it up from the bottom, also once it's done, it will all stay together just like this one that I made. And you can see in this one, you can see the loom material through it. I probably should have done this one a little bit tighter. I did take my top and roll it down a few times, and I used some glue from my glue gun to take care of being able to hang it. These ends, you can either leave frayed, or because this is the first time I had ever weaved like this, I know I still have a lot to learn about how to make my project a little bit nicer, and I'm going to work on that. But this is like creating a loom, and you can do it for any size, to make somebody a beautiful weaving, or just a weaving for yourself. I hope that you get to practice this and that you were at least able to learn something from how to do the weaving. I hope you have a great week. And I hope that you'll go back and look at the directions if you have any questions, or back at the video. And pardon me, considering that I'm a little under the weather right now, I want to remind you of the one thing that I always say when I'm done with the video. Got a new mask. Don't forget to mask up when you go out in public. It is so important to keep everyone safe, because I want to be able to see you in person really soon. Video crafts just aren't that much fun. Have a great week, everyone.